What if everything you've been told about growing a welding business is wrong? Most welding business owners think the goal is to grow, hire more people, get a bigger shop, and take on more work. But what if the real goal is freedom? Today's guest is Steve Devers. He runs a highly efficient one man shop working on projects he really enjoys and still lands serious jobs without the headache of managing a crew. In this episode, we talk about how he built his business his way, the lessons he learned the hard way, especially with money, and how tools like a mini crane completely changed what's possible with a solo operator. In this episode, we went how he went full time, why he avoids hiring employees, and the biggest financial mistakes almost every business has. We also get into the tools, systems, and mindset shifts that allow him to take on work that most people think requires a full crew, but he does it completely solo. This is a different way to think about success in the industry. If you want more profit, more control, and less chaos in your business, this episode is for you, so let's get into it. All right, Steve, welcome to the podcast, bud.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you reaching out. As a fellow mini crane owner, we
Yeah.
got to talk a little bit shop beforehand. And yeah, that's cool, man. I've checked out your stuff on YouTube and on Facebook and your videos and everything like that. And you look like a really well set up one man shop.
Yeah. So been pretty blessed. I've tried, having people work for me and stuff, and it just ain't for me. So here I
Hmm.
am.
Cool, man. Well, give me a rundown of like, tell me about what you do with your business.
So I'm as much a problem solver, I guess, as a fabricator.
Aren't we all?
Yeah. So kind of do a little bit of everything, not
Hmm.
intentionally. Um, I have a hard time saying no and love a new challenge.
Yeah.
So I was doing a lot of handrails and a lot of stair repairs and things of that sort. And finally just had to give up the stair repairs. Just they're just so physical. It's good money, but it's a physical work.
Yeah.
So
How long have you been doing this?
so full time since 2018.
Okay.
So I actually started Perfect Fab in 2013 and started fabrication and a makerspace. And we run the makerspace for a year, but I learned a hard lesson about population density, and it just never took off. So I was working at Bridgestone at the time. We got a Bridgestone steel cord factory here in Clarksville, and I was a maintenance specialist there. Uh, so I worked there till 2018, and finally went full time on my own.
Okay.
Um,
Now, when you went on your own, did you have an idea of your ideal business in mind? Like, did you want to grow? Did you want to stay a one man shop? Did you want to keep it small? Like, or did you just say, screw it? Like, I'm tired of working for other people and just I'll figure it out later.
Kind of, yes. uh, I honestly knew what I wanted to do. I didn't have ambitions of growing really big. Um, because I enjoy what I do. So I started out, I had an 1,800 square foot shop here at my house
Mhm.
and, was pretty happy, working out of there and, kind of finding my way. I knew I would find my path. I just wasn't exactly sure what it would look like. So, but, I've hired friends and stuff and, and I have people that I can use when I need help. But as
Mhm.
far as full-time employees, it just, that's not in my DNA.
So back it up a little bit. Like, how did you get into the fabrication industry? Tell me where it all started and work forward from there.
Okay. Well, so I grew up around heavy equipment. My family's always been, dirt work and stuff. So there's always welding repairs and stuff of that sort. And so in high school in ag, I learned how to stick weld. And I actually went to Nashville Auto Diesel College and become a mechanic for 5 years after that. But I went to Bridgestone and become a maintenance tech there. And I was a decent stick welder, but that was it.
Mm.
And there I learned, learn how to MIG weld. And I remember just standing in amazement watching the millwrights TIG welding stainless. And so, we worked a 12-hour day night rotation. So I spent many, many nights out in the shop, burning up tungsten and grinding tungsten and, teaching myself how to TIG weld
Yeah.
and sort of become the guy, the in-house maintenance guy that would weld the weird stuff.
Mhm.
Anything odd or whatever, I kind of become that guy and sort of the in-house machinist, and finally, well, I guess before that, when me and my wife got married, I had a little Montgomery Ward's buzz box. And, I would run the cord in to the dryer plug and get out in the backyard and just do what I could do. Um, I finally saved up enough to buy a Miller 175 MIG, little transformer machine, and still have that
Yeah.
machine. I'll never sell it.
Oh, yeah.
But man, I don't know. It's just always had my interest. Being creative. It's just something I've always enjoyed. My dad was a great welder, so I guess just kind of take that from him.
Yeah.
But and so I kind of built the shop here at my house while I was working at Bridgestone, and just kept pushing. I decided, I wanted a plasma table, but I didn't have money. So I actually built my first plasma table and had all that, and still working at Bridgestone and finally decided to go for it on my own.
Nice. So in 2018, you went full time. Were you do like you were doing side work before that? Did you have customers already set up, or how'd that go?
Not I was doing side work. I didn't have a big customer base.
Mhm.
I had a couple jobs lined up though, to get me started, but I just, had a little money saved and once word got out, it just things just took off. So I had one, and I guess what kind of set things in motion, I had a pretty big railing job that I wanted to bid, and so it was a pretty great job to start with. So that worked out good. Kind of
Nice.
set things. Yeah,
Yeah, it's always nice to have that work set up, especially when you're making 6 months is a lot. Like, that's a lot of work, and I know a lot of guys have, they have their regular customers that they service all the time, and when
yeah,
they decide to jump off on their own, they're like, "Yeah, everybody promised me all this work."
yeah,
But the big thing is, like, once you work yourself out of that job, then what?
yeah,
You have to
yeah,
go back and you have to worry about marketing and going back to those customers and finding new ones, and that's the that's, like, the big thing that everybody forgets is to,
yeah.
is to keep that in top of mind.
Yeah, it's one thing when it's side work, but when it's put food on your table, and that's
Mhm.
it. Yeah, that really changes things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey guys, if you're a welder, fabricator, or business owner, please consider subscribing. I sit down every 2 weeks with a new welding business owner. We talk about how they got started, how they've grown their business, the pitfalls they've had, how they market themselves, how they get jobs, and just everything that has to do with business. So I do this for my business and for you guys to learn completely for free. So if you like it, please give me a thumbs up, put your comments below, and hit subscribe. I appreciate you guys. Now back to our talk. Now with so you had 6 months worth of work, and then where did you find work after that? Like, it like, do you advertise? Is it all word of mouth, or how does that work out for you?
So it was word of mouth. Probably it worked out good. It probably wasn't a good move. I actually used Home Advisor, and it gets well. It worked out good for me because I was such a niche business for that, and it didn't make a whole lot, but I think I did a $50 paid Google ad and ended up having to pull the ad because I was just getting slammed.
Really?
And, that one ad landed me a job $175,000 job just on that one ad. And, and I'm
Probably
still
the
working.
only real success story I've heard from Google Ads. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, the company called me and, it was the job was just about all profit. It took me about 11 months to do it,
Mm,
but, it's a contracting company from a few towns over and I still do work for them. They yeah, so making that connection was huge.
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What was that like? So that was maybe like 2019 time frame
Yeah,
ish.
2019, yeah,
So I feel so Google Ads has definitely changed over the years. Back in like 2000, I don't know, 17, 18, 19, and into 20, like, I was getting really good, like, 10 to 1 return on investment with
yeah,
Google Ads. Like, I don't know what it is, like, maybe more people just got on or I didn't get, I don't know what happened. I'm sure there's probably a million factors, but, like, it got to the point where I was barely breaking even. I
mm,
hired 2 different marketing firms, and some of them, like, in the end, they didn't even pay for themselves.
yeah,
Like, we had some great months, and then it just started to go downhill. And,
yeah,
there was never I kept one for, I don't know, 6 or 8 months, and the other one I said, "You got 4 months to prove yourself."
yeah,
And, didn't prove themselves, so I'm like, I was doing better dollar for dollar, fumbling through it myself and watching
yeah,
YouTube videos and fumbling through it than I am paying, between $500 and $1,500 a month for you guys to do this. And now your solution for me is to up my budget and start spending 4 grand and 5 grand a month with you guys? Like,
see,
no,
that's
no, 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 that's not how this works. So it's mostly been word of mouth for you.
yeah, I mean, I have a Google listing, but yeah,
Mhm.
so word of mouth. My steel supplier, they put my name out there a lot, places like that.
Yeah,
So it's worked really well.
very cool.
Yeah.
What were some of the 3 biggest challenges you had when you first started out in this business?
One was, transitioning into a business owner. Bridgestone, you had a schedule, you had a start time, you had a stop time. Breaking that mindset actually took a little while,
Mm,
but I guess just the bookkeeping, the taxes and all that was probably the biggest challenges.
mm, yeah.
Keeping all that straight. I guess those were the biggest things.
Okay. So with that kind of stuff, did you just straight up hire somebody else, or did you how did you learn the business side of the welding business?
So well, for taxes, we had a bookkeeper. So my wife, she had a business as well and learned a painful, painful lesson from using a bookkeeper instead of a CPA. So I've learned a lot from the CPA, but honestly, just, online, podcasts, things of that sort. I got a couple friends that have businesses, so I talk with
Mhm.
them. So
Yeah,
it's not one source, but, other people that's got successful businesses and stuff. It's helped a
gotcha.
lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like business owners just like to talk to other business owners to commiserate or whatever is to it?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've got a good friend, he's got a tree business and it's funny, I didn't even realize that I was the same way, but he's like, "Man, I freak out when the phone's ringing and I can't there's more work than I can do, but then when it slows down a little bit, I freak out because the phone's not ringing." I'm like, "I'm the same way." Yeah, but
So
yeah, it's good to have people to talk to like that.
yeah, 100%, man. I mean, talking to the guy who started a podcast just to talking with other business owners, like, I feel you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you've been doing this for a while now. What do you feel like you're really good at, in your business? What sets you apart from everybody else in, you said Middle Tennessee you're at?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. What sets you apart?
So I think attention to detail. Um, and honestly, there's not a lot of competition in my realm.
Mhm.
So there's really only one other company here in town that does handrails, which a lot of my work actually is in Nashville, which is about an hour away.
Okay.
But just I don't know. I guess being able to control all aspects of the job.
Mm,
Nobody taking shortcuts or tearing stuff up, stuff like that.
sure. So it looks like you've got a pretty cool little shop, or a pretty cool big shop
Yeah,
for being a one man operation.
yeah.
Tell me about like your workflow and your shop and some of the tools that you use to make yourself successful as like just a one man operation.
So it's pretty blessed. So we had a store over in town and had a commercial building, and I had moved my shop into there, and I took 4,000 square feet. And my wife had 2,000 square feet for the store, and basically we ended up selling that building, and closing her business, and I was able to build a new shop here on my property. So it's 6,000 square foot, and from the door of my office to the door of the house is 100 feet. So I love that. But as far as workflow, I guess one of my biggest challenges have been material storage. As well as I do, 24-foot material is hard to handle. So I just spent a lot of time, which figuring out, over the Christmas break, getting my material storage right to improve that workflow.
Mhm.
Having a forklift is just as much as I love my spider crane, I don't think I could live without a forklift. It's such a useful tool.
Yeah.
And then I got the CNC plasma. I bought a new STV 5x10 plasma table about 2 years ago. So I use that as a tool. I don't use it. I generally don't get into sign making and stuff like that. Most of my CNC plasma is incorporated into making parts for a job. Yeah, so I got a decent workflow through the shop. Um, I've got a little paint booth per se. I try not to paint a whole lot, but I can paint in here, and so yeah, so I got a crazy deal on the iron worker. It's one of them that's almost too good to be true. And so that's been a great tool to add, with the
Yeah.
tubing notcher.
Heck yeah.
Um, Man, for doing the 3 tube or the 2 tube railings, having the notcher on that, what a time
You
saver.
fly through them, man.
Yeah. And then just making what you need. I find myself a lot of times like making custom squares, whatever angle I need, just cut it on the plasma. If I need a 34-degree angle, I'll just make me a square on the plasma table instead of trying to use the angle finder all the time.
Yep.
That speeds things up.
Yep. So get some 16 gauge and just cut it out.
Yeah, yeah. And so trying to get more into baking tools or whatever, trying to get a product to sell. So I've designed a little hydraulic bender that I'm kind of getting dialed in. So may have that up
Yeah.
for sale here for long. Yeah.
Nice.
So I had a job. It was just strictly handrail. The guardrail and all was there. And where it was, I couldn't get a trailer in there. It was just hard to access. And so it was some like handicap ramps, but everything wasn't equal. The all of them wasn't the same. So I made a bender where I could just put the piece of pipe in there and then bend it into place on site. So that was nice, not have to try to measure each one, make it in the shop and carry it out
Yeah.
there.
Heck yeah.
So working on stuff like that.
Nice.
But yeah, the shop is, it's getting more and more efficient. Finally got airlines to run around the shop.
Mm.
and kinda to the point I guess I've been in this shop for 2.5 years roughly, and now I'm to the point where I'm just attacking what hurts the most,
Yeah.
as far as organization and workflow. I've kinda had to resort to that. Anyway,
I mean, 6,000 square feet is like that's a lot. That's a lot of space to have a workflow in, man. That's awesome.
it is, man. I am so thankful, it just we worked hard. We had the commercial building and, so yeah, we sold it and made enough to pay cash for the new shop, to have it here and everything's paid off is a
Beautiful.
huge blessing. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about your spider crane and what drove you to buy that and what were some of the factors that you considered into your purchase for that?
Well, I guess it's Nick Pizzata's fault. So I got a spider crane. If you know, you know, right? So yeah, I work by myself and I'm a problem solver and watching Nick's videos and stuff, I'm like, man, why don't more people have these? And so yeah, I just went on a deep dive and started looking and I have the Ford Transit 250. So I had to get something compatible, that I could haul with my van. So that's why I ended up with this particular Jecco crane. The crane and the trailer is just under what the van's rated to tow. So it works out really well. It's a battery powered crane. Kinda considering if I do replace it, kinda considering a propane powered one next.
Are you? Okay.
Not 100% on that, but I'm considering that for the next one.
Mm, mm.
So yeah, it's just man, I couldn't live without it.
So, was there like a particular job? Did you buy it new or used?
Used.
You bought it
Yeah,
used.
I bought
Okay.
it. Yeah, it was a place in Boise, Idaho. Yeah, so I bought it used. I don't think I had a particular job for it when I bought it,
Mm,
but it was one of them I knew I would use it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just trying to be more efficient as a one man shop. I tell everybody, I'm like the mini crane has taken 3 or 4-man jobs and turned them into
Mhm.
one-man jobs. If I can load up my crane and material on a trailer, take it to a job, and load and just install everything I need by myself,
Yeah.
and I like ha like s like, with the line of work that we do, a lot of it is just you only need extra people because it's heavy. You don't
Yeah,
really
yeah,
need them to, like it's nice to help them, have them help core drill and put things together and organize and blah, blah,
yeah.
blah, and drag out and wrap up, and, that's nice, but, like, you can still do that yourself. You don't need to
Right.
hire
Yeah.
somebody for that. But it's the heavy stuff, like, you just can't do yourself, and to have a crane that folds up and can go, I mean, it is kind of a little sketchy on because it's, how wide yours? Like 24 inches like mine?
I think it's 28,
28 inches?
20. Yeah.
So it can fit through a standard man door, but it's very top
Mhm.
heavy, and it doesn't like
Yeah.
uneven surfaces. So, like, there's like tracking it across the job site is kinda sketchy unless you have, some plywood or whatever to put down. But, like, to be able to do be it's funny because looking at your videos now, like, you have the same setup I have. Like, you have a mini crane, and you've got a truck with a crane on it. Yours is a
Yeah.
flatbed truck. Mine is a service truck, like, with
Mhm.
boxes and it's enclosed with a crane. But, like, that's all you need to, like,
Yeah.
do a whole lot of miscellaneous metal work. And anything else, you could just bring people in on and or rent other equipment for.
Yeah, I had a job. I had to hang 4 sheets, 4 by 12 sheets of 12 gauge on a sign. And so I took my mini crane with a man basket and then I used my freight liner and I made it wireless remote. So yeah, I was able to operate that crane from the basket of my mini crane and
Awesome.
Yeah, man, it worked perfectly.
That's really cool.
And the other thing is, so my wife, she can come help, because you're not gonna ask your wife to lift heavy stuff or whatever, but it's cool. She can come hang out and help with what she can do. So with the spider crane, that brings the muscle and, she can help with other stuff.
Yeah.
So it's always cool when she can go with me on jobs.
I've had my wife out there in the early days out there painting stuff for me as I'm well in the head of her and she's coming falling behind priming and painting. And
Yeah, yeah,
not anymore, but yeah, that was I definitely got some good pictures of that back in the day.
yeah. But it's cool, our kids are all grown, so, that she can just kind of hang out and just help here and there if she wants to, so that's always
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. So what is your favorite kind of work to do?
So, honestly, food trailer type stuff. Um,
Okay.
so I just built a coffee trailer
I see
last
that.
year. So they bought it as a 7 by 14 enclosed trailer, and when they approached me, I was like, "I'll do it, but we're not gonna do a generator." They're like, "Well, how are we gonna do it?" I said, we bought the battery and the inverter and all that, and, they had their idea for design, but give me freedom of design, and I was eager to get to the shop on Monday morning to work on that.
Mm,
Like, it was so much fun, and now I've actually got another build getting ready to start on,
nice.
another trailer, but yeah, I don't know, I really enjoy that, and it's in the shop, so I'm trying to
hmm
bring more work into the shop, get away from doing so much on-site work.
hmm
Those type trailers, you have to be creative, everything's gotta be neat and tidy, and so it's gotta work. So I really enjoy that.
Nice. Give me a rough idea of how many customers do you have on a regular basis?
Man, like on a monthly
Just give
like
me
regular customers,
like regular customers, you are their go-to guy for welding.
probably 10 to 15,
Okay.
I had to guess. Yeah. Yeah, somewhere in that range.
How often do you usually stay booked out for?
I generally roughly about 2 weeks.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, that's kind of, about 2 weeks it ebbs and flows, but yeah, about
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Interesting. Um,
Yeah.
what so with being in business for, about 8 years now, what is what is a financial lesson that you had to learn the hard way?
Buy too much equipment too fast.
Unpack that for me.
Well, so I bought the Freightliner and, that was a big investment.
Mhm.
And then, at the was it that same year? I think it was. Our the CPA is like, "Well, if you spend some money, we can save you $7,000 on taxes." So I bought a new plasma that's when I bought the new plasma table, and the payments, you know, they don't seem that bad till they're coming every single month.
Yeah.
So, I should have spread those purchases out a little bit.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's probably been the most painful lesson.
Okay. What equipment
Yeah.
have you financed? Just the plasma table and the Freightliner?
Yeah, that's pretty much, yeah, I had financed a box truck early on, but yeah, that's pretty
Okay.
much been it. Yeah.
Um, what is, it's like here, got a pop-up notification. Um, I lost my train of thought. There is something I want to ask you about. Oh, so so with your house being like 100 yards or 100 feet from your shop, how do you do you have trouble leaving work at in your shop? Like, you said that you're older and your kids are grown. So,
Yeah.
what does work-life balance look like now that your kids are out of the house and it's just you and your wife?
And it's awesome. So I'm very fortunate, like, I can walk out and shut the door and I'm done. I have no trouble leaving what's in the shop in here. So, a lot of days I get up, let the dog out, have my coffee, come to the shop, and 30 minutes later, my wife texts me that breakfast is ready, so I beep out. But no, it's actually for me, for my personality, I love it.
That's awesome.
I don't have no trouble separating. I had a good friend of mine, he's got several businesses and he's like, man, how do you separate it? So, dude, I just walk out and shut the door. I can come in here on Sunday and just mill around and, sometimes I work on Sundays, sometimes I don't,
Mhm.
but actually it's been very easy for me to manage. I'm thankful for that.
Nice.
The only downside really is, you don't want everybody at your house, as far as customer flow or whatever. So I'm pretty
Sure.
selective who I, let come out here. But other than that, which really isn't that big of a deal anyway.
Mhm.
The shady customers ain't bringing high paying jobs anyway. Yeah.
So if you've got well, let me think about how to word this. So you've been in business for about 8 years. How much time do you think you've got left on this? And is are you at your end goal of where you wanna be in business and just kinda ride this out? Or do you have aspirations to grow this? Or, tell me a little bit about that.
So I figure a good 10 years,
Okay.
you know, but so as far as infrastructure, I finally feel like I've reached the point where I need to be. So now I'm looking at products like, automation or something, just and that's why I got rid of doing stair treads and stuff. Just trying to
Mhm.
reduce the physical load, like the food trailers, there's nothing really physical with those. So looking down that avenue and kind of looking into robotic welding where I can get a product, just to ship out and stuff as I get older,
Sure.
and want to cut back.
I feel like that's the goal of a lot of a lot of guys. Just
Yeah.
even at all different stages of life, to be able to find something that sells well that you can market and just keep pumping it out.
Yeah. And I've got 5 grandkids, and maybe one of them take an interest in the business, you know. So if they do, well, I'll just feed that. You can't make them realize at a young age what an opportunity it is, but and I'm not going to force them to, but hopefully one of them will realize it and take an interest. But we'll see.
I feel like that's a lot of people's goal is to build something that you can either give to your kids or sell off.
Hmm.
Like my son, he's 17 and like we did not push him into welding, but he wanted to go into the welding program at tech school and he's, doing great. Like he's a senior his senior year. I got him a job
Yeah.
he worked for me with me over the summer. But I told him, I'm like, I don't want to be your first boss and I kind of don't really want to be your second or third boss. I think you got to go
Yeah.
get your ass kicked some other places. There's a,
Hmm.
there's a guy local who, I'm buddies with, and he's a little bit of a ball buster, I'm like, "You need to go work with Raj." So, he's like
Let him get his
yeah.
attitude out. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I told him, I'm like, "Don't take it easy on him, man. I know you and me are
Yeah.
buddies. If it doesn't work out, no hard feelings at all, but I
Hmm.
want you to give him a little bit of a hard time to get
Yeah.
him like a little bit of a jump start on life in the trades before
Yeah.
he's got somebody who's kicking his ass who doesn't love him as much as we do. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Who's not as easy on him as we are when we kick him in the ass.
Yeah, 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 that's good, that's smart, like I said, let somebody else get that attitude out of them and humble them a
Yeah,
little bit, then he'll be ready.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if you've got a some foot shop full of tools, what is your
Mhm.
favorite tool to use in your shop?
Man, favorite, I don't know, it's, probably Probably the plasma table.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just, I'm pretty efficient at drawing stuff, and it's like, man, it's so nice to come in here and draw something and go make your part, and I use it a lot. So that's probably, yeah, one of my favorites,
I
you
remember when
know?
I first got mine, and it was, um, I just remember dreading drilling so many holes,
Yeah.
so many hours at a drill press. I'm like, this would be just so much faster with the plasma cutter, so much
Mhm.
faster with a plasma table. And I finally got one, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna touch a drill press again. And I, for
Yeah.
the most part, have not.
I had a cable railing job, and it was like 2.5 inch square tube. It was 400 something holes, and, yeah, that would have sucked on a drill press.
Hmm.
But, it took just the afternoon, to do it on the plasma table, so, yeah.
Just make a jig, throw that tube in there, and let it eat.
Yeah, and it was square tube, so that even made it easier.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So if a plasma table is your favorite tool, what is one tool that you think that you should sell?
Probably the old plasma table,
So the one that you still have the one that you made.
but the one that I built, I actually been trying to find somebody a young person that's getting into the business, and, like, I'll make you a great deal on it, but I really can't find anybody. But I've got a possibility on the job making some aluminum fence panels for carnival ride, and they're all just face welded. The inside joints aren't even welded. I'm like, man, that table will be perfect for that. So I may convert it to that, but right now it's just taking up space. Getting junk piled on it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
What tool do you think gave you the most exponential growth in your business?
sorry,
What tool do you think gave you the most exponential growth in your business?
expenditure. I guess a spider crane.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it really opened up a lot of doors for me.
Hmm. I feel the same way about the spider crane. Like like we specifically bought one for our we bought ours for a specific job. But after that, people hear about that, they're like, yeah, you can totally use this here. And we've won bids just because we have a crane that we can take into buildings and do work without having to set up scaffolding and like a whole bunch of rigging.
Yeah. I I had a job, it was in Nashville. So this area keeps flooding. So it's like a 2,500, 3,000 square foot house. So they raised the house. Well, they built piers 11 foot, so they raised the house about 13 foot. But they needed an I-beam structure built on the piers, and so there was nothing to rig to or anything, and I was able to drive my spider crane under the house and set all those I-beams. Like, I don't know how we would have done it without it.
Right.
Yeah.
So it seems like you've done a whole lot of jobs. What is what was your favorite job and what did you like about
So business-wise, I don't know, I would say probably the food trailers.
it? Mm.
Of all time would be my house. I built my house out of a grain silo.
Really?
Yeah. Um, that's my all-time favorite project, but I didn't do that as a business. I don't know. I would say the coffee trailer was one of my favorite. The gantry build, I don't know if you saw the video on the
Hmm.
walkway gantry. I really enjoyed that. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed working with the bigger steel like that, in that situation. I really enjoyed that project. I don't know, man. It's hard to think back on all of them.
Tell me about this grain silo house that you built. Like, how did this come about?
So our kids were growing to move, and so we wanted me and my wife. We had the idea like building something fun and cool, and
Mhm.
so we were looking at different things, and she's seen a silo house. she showed it to me. She's like, "I like this." I said, "Well, I can do that." So our property actually, when we bought our property originally, it was 2 pieces of property. So we just built it on the other piece of property right next door, but I bought a 43-foot grain silo. It's, 35 feet tall, but it's on a slope. I built a retainer wall, so all our living is in the middle. So it's 1,450 square foot on the main floor. And then the downstairs, we use it like a basement, and then there's about a 700 square foot loft. But man, I did everything except my dad did the dirt work, and I hired guys to do the concrete slab, and then I hired people to do the insulation, the tile, and the drywall. But I did all the framing, electrical, plumbing. I had to design openings for the windows, which ended up being pretty simple. But man, it's a fun project. I really enjoyed it.
So you actually purposely built a grain silo. Like, you didn't even repurpose one that you had. You purposely
Now,
built one for your
yeah,
house.
yeah.
Wow.
I designed it so we started coming up with the idea. I remember we was going on a cruise, and I just I can only sit around for so long. And, so I took all my drawing stuff and then just threw floor plan after floor plan, and at the end of the cruise, I had it all figured out. But man, it was a blast. So now I've got, a really cool set of stairs to the loft I still need to build. Finally, I think I have a design, but after that, we're gonna do some videos and stuff on the house.
Yeah, I wanna see that.
Yeah. But like our porch, it's got the porch is 8 foot deep and it wraps around 80 feet. And it's all concrete. It's 11 feet in air, and I pumped all that with concrete. And then when I built the roof, though, I had to actually manufacture my roof panels because they had to be tapered for my porch roof.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're going around that curve.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Would you do that all over again, or would you say, "Screw it, just do something else"?
Well, I would do it again, but I'm the type that I would absolutely do it again, but I'm the type that I know how to do that. I want to do something else now. Yeah,
We've been throwing
but
around the
yeah.
idea of a barn-dominium, and that's one thing that I'm just like, "Man, I would love to have a barndominium," because it
Yeah.
just we don't need a big living space. We need a big
Mhm.
common area for our kids and their activities. Because our kids
Yeah.
are homeschooled, and there's so much stuff that goes with,
Mhm.
homeschooling your kids well. And, they have science kits and Legos and Duplos and
Yeah.
art supplies and electrical stuff and building and a greenhouse and this and that. And I'm like, my gosh, is it it's
Yeah.
inside, it's outside, it's in the living room, it's in the basement, it's in their room, it's in the hallways. I'm like, no, we need a we need a pole barn just for you kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you could do so much with a barn and media. I mean, I love them.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
was it really just your wife's dream that made you go with that? Or was it more practical? Was it cheaper? Was it the challenge along with that? Unpacked it
I think
out,
it was a
the
chat.
decision for me.
Well, I think one, her inspiration, but with me being a metal guy, to have this big metal structure to play with, that was,
Yeah.
enticing. Cost wise, it's hard to weigh it out cost wise because, without calculating your own labor.
Mhm.
Uh, and then the one thing, being I did it myself, it took about a year and a half. But once the silo's erected, you're dried in, so it ain't like
That's a
you're
good
waiting on the
point, yeah.
roofers for all that. So it had its benefits, along with being unique, and just yeah, and just getting to be creative. The ceiling, the dome is completely open, And, so what I did is I had it spray foamed, and when I bought the silo, I bought a second roof, and I put that in as my ceiling, and then I put a 18-foot diameter ceiling fan up there. So I got a big it's a macro air, 18-foot fan up there. So, yeah, it was a combination of getting to be creative and practicality and stuff.
Dang,
Yeah.
that's really cool, dude.
So, yeah, I can't wait to do some videos on it. Yeah.
Well, so as far as business goes, if you were to have to start your business all over again back in
Mhm.
2018, what would you change back then to, you know, help you out, or what would you change in general?
I think from a control the finances a little better,
Mhm.
because, with the ups and downs, you're at a high point, you don't, and early on, you don't think about the low point that's coming, when
Mhm.
things slow down. So I would have prepared a little better for that. All in all, I'm pretty happy with the path that I took. Just the business side and finances are the big things.
Mhm.
I probably would have found a good CPA earlier. With my wife's business, we started that business in 2014, I believe, and we hired a bookkeeper. All I could say is she made a mess. There's no telling what it cost us, and there's no recourse for a bookkeeper.
What do they
So,
what tell me like give me examples of things that they messed up on for other people
well,
to watch out for.
with hers, a lot of it was with that type of business with, credit card statements because she had vendors. So, but it made it look like we were making all the income when that money was being paid out to vendors is the short of it.
Mm.
But the problem is with a bookkeeper, I can go start a bookkeeping business in the morning because there's no license requirement, and so there's no recourse. So that would be my advice is to get with somebody that's licensed or whatever, where you can have some recourse and some, security there.
Sure.
Yeah. So that was and she was highly recommended too. And so and I don't fault the people that recommended her. I had nothing to do with them, but yeah, she sure made a mess for us. And it was several things, just bad mistakes and stuff that yeah, that was painful.
Yeah,
They
I
they
bet.
actually uh, they actually locked up my passport. Like, they was saying we owed so much money that we didn't owe, but they actually had, locked my passport at one point because of her
Really?
mistakes. Yeah. Yeah, for money we didn't owe.
How long did you so how many years of taxes did she do this for?
It was probably over the course of about 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
and then, towards the end of that is when we started really having trouble.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, so anybody who's in Middle Tennessee and is shopping for a bookkeeper, reach out to you to find out who to not go to.
Yeah, exactly.
Man. Well, as we land this talk here, man, what is one piece of advice that you would give somebody who is who is in your shoes or looking to be in your shoes in the near future? Like, what is one good piece of advice that you'd love to give to them?
I would say if you're gonna start a business, if you're thinking about it, go ahead and get a name and get a relationship at the bank, and start that relationship, even if you're not going full time for another 2 or 3 years.
Mm,
When I first started, I did that and it's been so beneficial having, a relationship that has some time on it at the bank when I needed them.
mm.
If you're just starting out fresh and you're going in there with no history and they don't know you, things are a lot harder.
Unpack that out a little bit as to why that's important.
Think just for me, like so I bought a box truck and 2019. And, so I went in and I had a relationship with the manager, and so I went down and he just, I didn't have to do all the jumping through hoops and all that because he knew me, he knew my history, and it just made things so much easier to get done, and any questions or anything like, like, I don't know, some banks are weird, if you deposit over, what is it, $10,000, they'll put a hold on it sometimes. I know banks are different, but, I was able to go in his office like, "Hey, Bob, this ain't working," and he's like, "Oh, I'll fix it." So, stuff like that it's nice to have,
Do you bank with
you know?
a small local bank, or is it a branch of a larger bank?
It's a branch of a larger bank.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you still get good customer
So,
service. That's awesome.
yeah, and it's at that particular branch. So actually my buddy there has retired, so, I may end up going to a small bank. I don't know, but yeah. But yeah, I think building that relationship is important. It's tough to finance stuff as a business owner sometimes.
Mhm.
And that's just another the person in your corner.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It seems
Yeah.
well, I mean, it seems like you've had a lot of experiences. What other advice would you give to other wedding business owners, or, what do you see people doing wrong these days that you like, that you see that you're like, "Oh, you know what? You should probably try it this way."
Well, I think communication is a big thing, communication
Okay.
with customer. And it's pretty easy to do, but it's pretty easy to overlook.
Mhm.
I think people overlook communication a lot, and I think your appearance matters a lot too.
Okay.
That you don't have to be in a new truck and all, but you should have a decent appearance.
Make sure your truck's
Y-
clean, whatever you're driving.
Yeah, yeah, and just be respectful and stuff. That goes a long way.
Yeah.
These young guys with attitude and stuff, it's just that don't matter.
Mhm.
Be clean, be respectful, and always be willing to learn. There's a handful of other welding companies here, and man, I love it because none of us do the same thing. We send work to each other, and it's good to have that relationship.
Mhm.
So don't look at other welders as competition, and it varies by your area, find a niche that needs to be filled and fill it. Like thankfully I had insight or, when I started my business, I had an idea of how I wanted it to go, but I knew it would it has to evolve on its own. You can't force it.
Mhm.
So learning to let the business take its course and kind of nudge it where you want to go, I think it's pretty important rather than trying to force it in a direction.
Yeah. I I could totally see where you come from with that. What do you think what sort of things do you think that guys out there, what have you seen other people and businesses doing out there that you can look at and say, like, "You're doing this the wrong way. You should do it this way."
Well, I'll tell you a good one. It seems like whenever somebody wants to start a welding business, they go buy the flatbed truck with the engine drive welder, and that may be fine for what you need, but I think people don't stop and think about what they need. Just take the time and don't do what everybody else does. Do what your business needs. So for like me, I have an engine drive on my Freightliner and I rarely use it. So I built the van and so I do all my work, installs and everything just straight on battery power, so I don't need a engine drive 90%. So if I had the 1 ton with the engine drive, I would be miserable. So don't go buy what everybody else has. Take some time and figure out what you need. Don't go buy the Miller and Lincoln just because your buddy has it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good options out there. So just be careful where you spend your money, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I was just talking to somebody yesterday about this, that the days of needing to buy a Bobcat or a Trailblazer or a Lincoln engine drive or Ranger 8, Ranger 9 back in the day, like whatever it is, like you don't need to do that anymore. Like
Yeah,
back when you had transformer machines, you could not run them on engine. These inverter machines are a lot more forgiving on generators. So you don't
yeah,
need to drop 6, 8, 10 grand on an engine drive welder that only does stick and scratch start AC.
mhm,
You can run out, you can get a 12,000 watt generator for in the $1,500 range and a multi-process machine. Some of them even do, you got make, take, stick, and some of them even do AC TIG. Like,
yeah,
what more do you want? And, if you're out there doing bucket repairs, you should probably invest in an engine drive because you need that
mhm,
duty cycle. But most of what guys starting out with is it's miscellaneous metals.
yeah,
It's handrails, it's stairs, it's repairs, it's kitchens, it's RTU units, it's things like that where 80 to 90% of your time that you're on site and that machine is on, it's idle. And then,
yeah,
like you might have a couple minutes of welding, which a duty cycle on a multi-process machine and a generator will do just fine for, you can be out the door with that stuff for 3 grand, you know?
yeah,
Ready to go, and that's, half the price of the cheapest brand new Bobcat that you can go buy,
yeah,
and you don't have either A, that payment or you don't have to put that money out, you can use that as working capital, you don't need to do that anymore, right?
right, yeah, yeah, just trying to convey that to people. There was a kid down the road, he went to welding school and first thing he did was bought a Lincoln Ranger and threw it in the back of his pickup. Like, dude, you don't need it. And so my I bought this van and so I spent a lot of time calculating and researching. So I bought it's actually ended up being 48-volt golf cart batteries. It's 8 kW battery power and it's 1,000-watt inverter. So I've got my 220, my a 40 amp 220 circuit and a couple 110 circuits on my van, and man, I can work all day long on it.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah, I've run, and of course, welding, grinding. I've run concrete mixture, core drill, you name it. I've run off of that, and I charge it about once or twice a week, depending on what I'm doing.
That is real Is there a video on your YouTube about that?
I just did a video on the van, but I'm going to do one on the battery system, a more in depth one on that.
I wanna see that because that is really interesting to the concept of that, like, I don't know if I've ever like, even wrap my head around or considered running, like, an install truck off of batteries only,
Yeah.
even for welding and
hmm
concrete mixing, like, that's kinda crazy, actually.
Well, and a lot of it is me. I don't know. I can't stand listening to a generator. I
Yeah.
hate the noise. Maybe it's me being old, but
I don't think it's you being old. I bought a military generator because it was three-phase for a job this past summer that, I needed my tubing roller on. My tubing roller is three-phase. Just to hear that thing, there's something about military generators that
Mhm.
they just echo, and it's like it's not like this military generator, it's 2,500 pounds, and it's a
Yeah,
15 kW. I have a 12 kW that's like, in my garage, that's also like 300 pounds. So, like,
yeah,
this is
yeah,
completely overkill, and it
yeah.
was so god awful loud the entire
Mhm.
for, like, days upon end, and I'm just
Hey,
like it was like a physical relief when I got to shut that thing off, like,
yeah.
for lunchtime and at the end of the day. I'm like like, I can breathe better now that that thing's off, you know?
You know I love welding with my engine drive. Man, it welds so good. But man, like you said, when you turn it off, it's like your whole world changes.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Steve, is there anything else you want to add into this, man?
No, I don't guess. Like I said, I was kind of I'm gonna try to get this video out on the electrical system on the van. Pretty proud of that one. The whole van set up. But now I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on here,
Yeah.
man.
And two, going back to, just we didn't get into it, but me working by myself just gives me so much flexibility. So I actually do a lot of mission work.
Okay, let me hear about that.
As you may guess, me being a welder, I'm tied in with the dental team on the mission field. Makes perfect sense, right?
Right.
So, so we go to Honduras and Zimbabwe every year, and we got a really good presence in Zimbabwe. So the lady that's over our dental team, she got to where she couldn't always travel, so she's asked me to kind of take the lead on the ground. So we'll go in and set up a makeshift clinic and we'll have local dentists there that we hire. So I've been going to Honduras a couple times a year and then Zimbabwe in September. So actually this year we're going to Honduras in May to do dental. And then we're going to South Dakota to an Indian reservation in July. I'm actually teaching welding there.
Really?
Yeah. And then doing dental in Zimbabwe in September.
So
So
hold on here. What do you as a welder do with dental? Like, are you actually doing dental work?
no, no.
Okay.
So I'm
I
just
seen
making
it done
things
on
run.
YouTube
Yeah.
once, and I just go to
Yeah.
a third world
Yeah.
country and try my
I
hand
mean,
down.
YouTube University. No. So when I started going, I kind of made things run, made generators run, got power here, there, and finally just kinda got to where just running logistics on the ground.
Yeah.
So, like, in Zimbabwe, in 3 days with 4 dentists, they did, like, 460 extractions. So we're moving a lot of people through in Zimbabwe. So just kinda organizing and keeping the clinic running, that type thing. Just never dreamed I would have been here doing this,
So when do you go over to Zimbabwe again?
September.
Okay. Um, how did you get hooked up this is gonna be a whole nother section where I'm gonna dive into because
Yeah.
I do mission work in Africa as well.
Really? Okay.
We do mission work in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Okay.
And I've been there once, but I'm on the board of directors for Restoring Hope Ministries. So although I have young kids and don't really want to go over there right now, I'm
Right.
still pretty heavily involved. And we're building, we built a training facility over there. So that's when I went over there and did the solar packs and everything like that. And we actually are building a medical clinic on our, like we were gifted like 2,000 acres and we're
Hmm.
building a medical clinic there as well. So I
Okay.
want to
Yeah.
hear more about like what you do with this dental stuff and like how did you get hooked up with them and just take me from the beginning of that.
So with my church, we had our mission organization is going global. So we do work, here in the States, and abroad, obviously.
Mhm.
But I just remember I was working at Bridgestone and this had to have been 2010, 2011. Sitting in church and they were talking about the mission trip to Zimbabwe. And I'm like, man, would love to go, but it's 2 weeks and I only get a couple weeks vacation. Um, so that was one of the big things when I went full time for myself. I'm like, that gives me time to do missions.
Mm.
Um, So yeah, I started out my first trip was in 2019 to Zimbabwe. Um, and so we have a medical dental clinic there, and we have a church there also. And we're also getting ready, we're in the process of actually buying an orphanage there. And then we work with the pastor. He's actually got a school he's got 1,000-acre farm at the orphanage and a school. So in the in September, we take our dental team and we set up out in the bush, and the areas where we go, people know they'll just start migrating there. They don't know what day we'll be there, but they know the missionaries come in the middle of
Yeah.
September.
Yeah.
And then in the spring, there's a medical team that goes to do medical work in the springtime. And then in 2000, I think the mission started in 2000. So I got involved with that, and I'm really close with the couple that's leading that. The lady actually is from Honduras, so she's got family there. So the Honduras has been more ministry based, but we're ramping up the dental and getting all that going there. But it's been a wild journey. Like 24, I was getting ready to go. Planning on going to Zimbabwe, and the lady, the Lord, she called. She's like, "Well, I need you to preach." I'm like, "Okay." I'm not a preacher. She's like, "Well, you're on the schedule." But I love being thrown into a challenge, being stretched. So yeah, it's been quite the journey. And and man, you know, so I've been going every year now, getting on that schedule, but it's like you've been gone a week when you go back. The people there are just awesome and the bonds you form are so strong. It just until you go, you've been you can't describe it. You just have to go experience it.
Like, it is literally a life-changing event. Like, you
Yeah.
come back here to, we're in a little town called Dungu out in the bush, and when you see I spent 3 weeks there when we first got set up, and, it was just it's literally it's life-changing. Like,
Yeah.
you see how there is I mean, we paid the white people tax. There is
Yeah.
so much corruption there.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
was when Joseph Kony he was to the north, and they caught some of his soldiers and marching through town, and, it was, not, a whole lot of unrest, but, wow, a
Yeah.
completely different world, like thatched huts everywhere, and,
Yeah.
we one of the things that we have so our pillars are restore, train, and sustain. So we
Mm.
restore them through we provide trauma healing to restore. We train them through vocational training, and then we set up sustainable microfinance businesses through micro loans and things like that because there is there's really no banking over there. And
Yeah.
we also have a training or a school part of this called Ubeka that that kind of got started a few years ago, and then now we have the medical arm of it as well. That we took a a nurse. So this guy's name is Dr. Emil. He was a nurse and he was working as the doctor for Dungu. He has no formal training other than
Mm.
what a nurse would have, and he's doing surgeries over the phone with a doctor in Kinshasa telling him what is going on, and he's like, "Oh, you see this over here? That's what you need to" he would call ahead, the doctor would
Wow.
walk
Yeah.
him through it, and then he would be on the phone when he's actually doing the surgery by of light bulb, a 12-volt light bulb powered off of a car battery. 3 car batteries that would power the entire 4 buildings and where everybody lived with their families to stay at there was no electricity in there.
Mhm.
And it was just like, "Oh my gosh, this is what you see." I don't know. it's a life-changing experience going over there
Yeah.
and doing something like that. And everything that we do over there, so we have a partnership with the local church, and they are more of the steering arm of what
Mhm.
needs to be done, because for so long um there's been missions done to Africa, not with Africa. So it's
Yeah.
our, like, as white people from America coming and saying, "This is what you need," rather than saying, "How can we help you have a hand up?"
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So everything that we do is framed through that lens, even down to, like, we're raising chickens, like, yeah, they have chickens there on the campus, and they're like,
Mhm.
"This is our first year for that." Like, we've been doing pigs and bees and stuff, and, like, we're selling our honey there to Italy because they for some I don't know what it is about the plants and the bees that come off of our campus, like, apparently for honey aficionados, it's really great honey. But we also have the fact that, like, there are other people there who sell honey in the market, and
Mhm.
as a quote unquote business nonprofit, you can't go, like, it's actually kind of like like that's part, like, one of my jobs is to make sure that we are not competing with other people locally to sell the same product, because then we're doing harm to
Yeah.
the ecosystem and the market there rather than helping. So if we're going to do something, we're going to sell it outside where there isn't competition and we're not hurting them.
Yeah.
What I mean?
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I've never thought about it like that.
Mhm.
It makes
Mhm.
sense.
That's a
Yeah,
big thing that's heavy on my heart when it comes to that stuff.
that's cool. Yeah, that's awesome. I appreciate you sharing that. There's where our clinic is in a Harare, which is the capital of Zimbabwe. So there's a community. So, in Zimbabwe, there is school, but they have to pay school fees.
Mhm.
So basically, during the day, the kids are just running around wild. So this one particular boy, his name is God knows. So the pastor that we worked with there, took him into his school, and he just got attached to us. And now he's a grown man. He's working at our clinic, going to dental school, just got married. Um, so it's so cool to see him just from, where he started as this kid running wild to now he's, working for us and,
Yeah,
starting a family and everything.
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. We we've helped them build, chicken houses there and stuff. And there was a rehab center in Honduras that we visited, and the guy there is like, this pastor came and told us to build a chicken run. And he said, "We did, but we don't have money for chickens." He said, "What do we do?" And the guy was like, "Well, pray for the chickens." Well, then we show up, you know, no association with the other people. I don't even know when they came. And our pastor, he was just beside himself. So he presented it to the church, and in a matter of minutes, there was, over $5,000 given for chickens for this guy. But yeah, man, I love those stories. And just it hurts to see how some of these people are living, and
Yeah.
you got to go do what you could do.
Mhm. How long
You
have you been
know,
going
we
over there?
since 2019, yeah. So it's quite the journey.
Literally, just to get over there is a journey
Yeah.
because of the lack of banking. So here's a funny story. Because of the lack of so I went over there when we were building our training facility. So part of our helping without hurting is instead of buying bricks and shipping them in, we bought a brick making machine from
Mm.
Man, I forget where we bought that from. Anyway, but we hired locals to make the bricks on site so that it brought money into the economy
Mhm.
and helped them out. And when you're doing construction there, it requires a lot of money. Believe it or not, like this building, it still cost us like $250,000 just because
Yeah.
it's like one of the things that we did when we built this building is we decided to build a building rather than rent one because it shows them that we're there long term. Because like Catholic Ministries is there, the United Nations was there, and they rent houses, they work out of them, and then when they're done with them, like they're like, "Well, we're leaving. See ya." They just move out. Well,
Yeah.
like with our partnership with the Sacred 20 Church, they gifted us 2,000 acres to build our campus on. And we went in there and we made the investment of building a beautiful, beautiful, it's for their standards, like, building.
Yeah.
There's not like when it comes to banking over there, first of all, you can't bank somebody who doesn't have any collateral. So
Yeah.
most people over there don't have access to even basic banking systems because you can't take something from somebody who doesn't have anything. So
Right.
that's a big problem, especially with the fact that you can't even. It is very expensive and very hard to actually own your land over there. But that's a
Mhm.
whole nother issue. So we had to get money into to the country to our builder, and each person can't carry more than $10,000.
Yeah.
And we know that once we fly into Germany, we fly into Kinshasa, we have to take like 2 bush planes in order to get to our runway full of goats. Because you have to do a buzz by to move the goats, spin around, and then come back down
Nice.
and actually land.
Yeah.
But but that involved going through landing in one country and going to the other. So you have to get your passport stamped at each place. Well, they know how this goes.
Yeah.
And we traveled with a very well-respected person from that area, um, which is the reason why we didn't have to pay much in our, I think it's was it, I forget the name for it that they call white people over there. But anyway, so we had to
In
pay.
Zimbabwe, there were Marungus.
Yeah, yeah. So we had to pay, like, the white people tax, but we had to take, like, each of us had $10,000 in cash. Then we
Yeah.
stuffed it and we wrapped it around our socks while we traveled through all the airports. So, like, we put $5,000 above our boot, pull the sock up over top of
Yeah.
it, go through TSA and everything like that. And by the time we got to, a couple days later, this money was just gross and sweaty from being like on our boots
Yeah.
wrapped around our legs the whole time. But, that's how we had to pay our contractor who traveled from Germany to come and, build this building there.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah. There's
Man,
other people on
that's
the bush planes, like, they were there just to get video work. They got charged like $1,000 in
wow.
order just so that they could because like, you have to pay a tax on the stuff that you bring into there, even though you are gonna bring it back. And they're like, "Look, we're here, we're doing mission work." They had GoPros and, this is before
Mhm.
drones, but, like, they had GoPros and all the video equipment. They're like, "We don't care, you gotta pay a tax on this." Whereas
Yeah.
us, they were just like, because of the person that we were with, he called somebody else and they're like, "Okay, well, just give us this for your stamp, and then we'll call it good." So we got back on the plane. We were just like, they're out there for an hour. Like, there's people like with guns and military trucks, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
man, like, I hope we don't leave these guys behind.
Yeah. Jeez, that's crazy, man.
It is
What
it
what's
is a whole
what's the
nother world over there.
what's the name of your organization?
Restoring Hope Ministries.
Uh,
I think it's restoringhopeministries.org. I believe is our website. I haven't been on there in a while.
yeah, yeah. I love submissions. So Yeah, this one in South Dakota will be my first one in the States. So I'm partnering up with the HTP welders. I don't know if you're familiar with HTP.
I know of them.
Yeah, they got some really good products. Um, so hoping to partner up with them on this mission to South Dakota and get them send some stuff, but pretty
Nice.
excited about that. Yeah, yeah. So that's kind of a big motivating factor for me to stay, just by myself and not have to worry about keeping people busy for 2 weeks while I'm not here and dealing with all that.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
know
so
about that.
yeah, I can imagine, man. I can imagine.
Yeah. You just line up some big jobs that are easier to do and you just
Yeah,
time it right that you make sure that you got all their questions because we're like a 6 or 8 hour time difference. And,
yeah.
if you need anything, let me know. But, here's a credit card and figure it out.
I admire you for that because I don't want that stress.
Awesome, Steve. Well, do you have anything else, bud?
No, no, I appreciate it. When you got a timeline for your next Fabricator Olympics yet?
Yes. Yes. September 11th and 12th this year.
I guess where I'll be.
Honduras.
Yeah, I'll be in Zimbabwe.
Oh, you'll be in Zimbabwe.
Maybe,
Okay.
yeah, maybe one year though. Yeah, I'd love to come. If there's ever a time when I get there, I definitely will be there.
Love to have you, man.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Maybe we'll,
yeah, I appreciate it.
I'll keep you up to date. Are you going out to Fab Tech this year?
I think I am. I'm gonna try. Actually got a young man that's been coming once a week or so training with me. So I think I'm gonna take him with me. But are you
Nice.
are you gonna make Fab?
I'll be out there every year.
Awesome. Yeah. So they moved it to October. So that actually kind of yeah. I think I'm gonna be able to go. So looking
Yeah, is that
forward to that.
like the middle to end of October, I believe it is? Something like that?
Yeah.
Out in Vegas?
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah,
All
I'm
right, man.
definitely gonna try to make that.
Well, let's make sure we catch up out there.
All right, sounds good.
All right, Steve. I'll talk to you soon, bud.
All right, man. Take
All
care.
right. See ya.
See ya.